What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC 267. And as always, we're going to go through these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like which fighter, why I'm betting what, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video on Tuesday, and then also a live stream after the weigh-ins on Friday. So go check both of those out if you have not yet. And yeah, before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet, so do not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. That is always much appreciated. And I say we get into it here. This card is stacked from top to bottom. We were supposed to have 15 fights, now down to 14 after Ismagulov Mustafayev is off, but still lots of opportunities to make some money, and just enjoy the card. The card's going to be phenomenal. This card is stacked, and I'm really looking forward to it. An early card as well. I will be going live with Uncle Weezy and Narco Cop 1 hour prior to when the prelims start. The prelims start at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Me, Weezy, and Narco will be going live 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you guys are up early, want to come check us out, we'll go live and give our best bet for each and every fight on the card. Always a pretty fun live stream to kick off fight day. So I say we get into it. Starting with the very first fight of the night, I'll talk about some of my action I have, and then if I was to, bet some things on this card that I have not yet, I will talk about that as well. Like Tagir Ulanbekov going against Alan Nascimento. No bet on this card for me, or fight for me, but I think it's a very good fight to kick off the card. We have Ulanbekov, who's minus 400, Nascimento, who is plus 300. I think this line is getting a little bit disrespectful. I mean, Nascimento's pretty good. I mean, this guy's very well-rounded. He was on the Contender Series against Raleigh Paiva, put up a really good fight, a very close fight that he did not get the nod in. Tagir Ulanbekov, kind of a underwhelming performance in his UFC debut against Bruno Silva, where he was a really big favorite, and it was a lot closer than that line did indicate, but I do think Ulanbekov gets it done. I think the wrestling and the grappling will be the difference here. I think he's going to be able to take down Nascimento, control him at times, and I kind of like that plus 100 Tagir Ulanbekov by decision. It does, get the price a lot better, going from minus 400 to plus 100 there. Don't know if I see a finish on either side. I think the fight goes to decision. I think it's around like minus 170. I don't think that's terrible as well. So yeah, I'm looking at the fight goes and looking at Tagir Ulanbekov by decision for the first fight of the night, but no bet on it officially for me. Next, we have Andre Petroski going against Yazong Hu, and yeah, this is a fight where it's probably the lowest level fight on the card, but this is a fight that I'm actually really looking forward to, and I do have some action on it. So I have two bets on this fight. The first one being, the biggest one being the under 2.5 rounds, minus 150. I have 1.5 units on that, and then I also took a small stab, a half unit shot on Yazong Hu, and the reason why I took a small stab, there's a lot of question marks about Yazong Hu. We have not seen this guy in nearly 3 years. He's going to middleweight. His UFC debut was at heavyweight. His second fight in the UFC was at light heavyweight. He's now at middleweight. We saw him at the weigh-ins. This guy looks very good. He's going to have a big size advantage, and I'm not completely sold on Andre Petroski. I think the most likely scenario is Petroski probably does come out here and submits him early, but if he does not do that, I really have concerns about Petroski and his gas tank. I mean, he's somebody that dropped the second round to Michael Gilmore. I mean, that's not good. So, I like Petroski, but I still think he's very green. I think his striking needs a lot of work. I still have questions about his cardio, and if he's going to try to wrestle a much bigger Yazong Hu on short notice, I can see a scenario where Petroski, if he does not get Hu out of there, I think he does slow down as the fight goes on, and I think Hu finishes him late. But either way, the under 2.5 rounds covers both sides. I think Petroski, if he wins, it's going to be early. I think if Hu wins, it's going to be later in the fight, mid-fight. So yeah, I do like the under 2.5 rounds the most there. 1.5 units, minus 150, and then also took a small shot on Yazong Hu, half a unit, plus 194. So we'll see what happens there, but yeah, really looking forward to that fight. All right, next we have Lerone Murphy going against Makwan Amarikani. I guess the way I look at this, first of all, I wouldn't touch the minus 300 of Murphy. If anything, it's a dog or pass. I cannot get to a bet on Makwan just due to the fact that we see time and time again, this guy looks really good early, but he does slow down as the fight goes on. If I was to attack this fight from a betting perspective in any way, it probably would be Makwan Amarikani first round. Makwan Amarikani by submission plus 575. But I think Makwan Amarikani, I think I saw it on FanDuel Sportsbook. I think it was like plus 1,700 Makwan first round sub. That's kind of how I would attack it, but yeah, I want nothing to do with this fight. I think Makwan's going to have success early, but I think he's going to kind of, slow down as the fight goes on. I think Murphy's going to take over, probably win a decision, maybe a late finish, but a fight that I'm not too interested in from a betting perspective. But as far as a pick goes, I am going to pick Murphy, but I just don't like the price tag at minus 300. I think Makwan's going to have success early. If you are a live bettor, this is a great live betting opportunity because I think Makwan's going to have that success early. I think you could get Murphy at a much better price than minus 300 for sure. So something I'm going to be looking at from a live betting perspective, but in terms of a bet pre-fight, nothing for me. Next, we have Shamil Gamzatov going against Mikhail Olazechuk. We have Shamil, who is minus 120, Olazechuk plus 100. And lots of money has been coming in on Olazechuk throughout the week. I do have a bet on this fight. It's a small bet here, half a unit on the fight. Doesn't go to decision, plus 145. And the reason being is, this is a light heavyweight fight. I think that line is a tad off. I think there is some value on it. The reason being, Olazechuk has been finished in all of his losses. 3 submission losses, 1 knockout loss. If Gamzatov comes in here and goes for takedowns, I think a sub is extremely live on the Gamzatov side. On the flip side, Gamzatov has never been knocked out. He's obviously undefeated, but Olazechuk, his striking is very good. This guy's a finisher, 74% finish rate. If he does come out here, I would not be shocked if he was able to finish Gamzatov and give him his first L there. So I think the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 145. I think that line's off, taking a half unit shot. Not extremely convinced on it, but I am convinced that the line is off there. So yeah, don't mind it. Covers both sides. Gamzatov sub could be in play, which is plus 500, and then Olazechuk KO could be in play, which is plus 400. But again, that does cover both sides, and it's plus money, so taking a shot there. Next, we have Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos going against Benoit Saint-Denis. I do have a bet on this fight as well. I have a ton of bets on these prelims, and I have the under 2.5 rounds, minus 120. I have 1.25 units on it. The reason being is Saint-Denis has never been over that mark. Saint-Denis has never been to a decision. He's been to the third round one time. This is a guy that, he's good, but he's just so green. I mean, this is a big step up in competition. He started his very first MMA fight was in 2019. This guy's dangerous, but he's very aggressive. He's very sloppy. He makes a ton of mistakes, and that's not going to slide against a veteran of the sport, and it's Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. I think Zaleski dos Santos does finish him at some point, but again, this 2.5 does cover both sides. If Saint-Denis wins, it's going to be a finish. He has a 100% finish rate. Zaleski has been finished 3 times, twice by submission, once by knockout. But I think the most likely scenario is Zaleski does weather that early storm, and eventually he finds the chin of Saint-Denis and knocks him out. But yeah, I do really like the under 2.5 rounds. Minus 120, love the price tag, 1.25 units on it. Next, we have Albert Duraev going against Roman Kopylov. More violence here for me. I have a 2-unit bet on the fight. Doesn't go to decision. The reason being, we have a striker versus a grappler here. Kopylov, I'm actually pretty impressed with the guy. The guy, he's very dangerous. Tons and tons of knockouts on his record. Did not have a great performance in his UFC debut, but you look outside of the UFC debut and he looks a lot better. I think it might have been, because he was making his debut. We see oftentimes where these guys come in here and they don't look like themselves, and they come back in their next fight and they look good again. And this could be the case for sure. I think he's not going to look any worse than he did in his fight against Carl Roberson. He just looked really hesitant. Didn't really throw much, but this guy's dangerous. And Duraev has been knocked out 3 times in his career. On the flip side, we saw that Kopylov was taken down by Carl Roberson in the 3rd round, and he really had nothing to offer at all. I mean, it was Carl Roberson, typically a guy that has like 4 or 5 submission losses in his own right. He was able to easily submit Roman Kopylov, and I do think that's going to be the case here. Duraev, solid wrestling, his grappling is very good. I think if Duraev does get him down to the mat, there will be a submission shortly after, but that fight doesn't go, kind of covers both sides there. If Kopylov does show up, he does look improved from his debut, which I do expect. He could touch the chin of Duraev, who's been knocked out 3 times. Those knockout losses were a while ago, but still, he's been knocked out 3 times regardless. Neither guy has ever lost by decision. 4 losses, all 4 coming inside the distance. So I do like that as a violent spot. Probably my favorite violent spot of the week. Next, we have Zybara Tuhugov going against Ricardo Ramos. This is a fight I want nothing to do with. Honestly, I'm picking Tuhugov, but this is probably a dog or pass situation where Tuhugov, every fight he goes to, it seems like it's a very close fight. So yes, it's going to be close. It's going to be competitive. I slightly edge Tuhugov. If anything, Tuhugov by decision, but even that, is not plus 100. That's not good enough. So this is a pass for me. I'll pick Tuhugov, but I don't love it. Amanda Ribas going against Verna Jandiroba. This is probably the most talked about fight of the week, which is pretty crazy because we have a lot better fights. But I'm excited for it. I mean, Amanda Ribas, she is minus 155. Jandiroba plus 135. It would be a dog or pass situation. Did not quite get to the Verna side here in terms of a bet, but I don't hate it. I think she'll be able to get takedowns here, get control time as well. On the feet, I do favor Ribas. It's a very close fight. I do think it more than likely goes to decision, but a prop that did stick out to me on FanDuel Sportsbook, they had Verna Jandiroba, and had on BetOnline for a little bit, but Verna Jandiroba by submission plus 1,200. and it's still there. I took a quarter unit shot on that. For some reason, it went up to like plus 1,500 at one point. Did not get that. But yeah, plus 1,200 quarter unit. I mean, it's not like all that likely, but I do think it's a lot more likely than that line does indicate. Verna Jandiroba, her grappling is top notch. Her grappling is next level. And although Hebas is a black belt in BJJ, I wouldn't be shocked if Jandiroba can catch her in something. Jandiroba is very dangerous. 82% finish rate. She's an absolute finisher. So if Jandiroba does win, there could be a chance that Jandiroba does get the sub. We have seen Ribas finished in all of her losses coming by knockout. I could see like a club or sub. Ribas does not have the best chin, but yeah, I mean, that line's off. I'm going to take a shot on it. Plus 1,200 by sub. Quarter unit, small stab there, but I'm going to pick Jandiroba. Don't know if I'll get there from a money line perspective. It looks like the money has stopped coming in on Ribas. It looks like the line's going to close right around here, which is fine. I think I'm just fine with passing from a money line side, just taking that small stab on that Jandiroba by submission. We're going to get into the main card now, and I don't have a ton of action on this main card, but it's a really good main card nonetheless. So we have Khamzat Chimaev. Oh, never mind. We have Magomed Ankalaev going against Volkan Oezdemir. And yeah, Ankalaev minus 280, Oezdemir plus 240. I guess the only thing I would say would be the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 185, but even that, I'm not like overly confident in it. Ankalaev, a 60% finish rate. We have Oezdemir with a 77% finish rate. Oezdemir's been finished in 4 of his 5 losses. Ankalaev's been submitted before by Paul Craig, so combined, they are finished in 5 of their 6 losses, something to mention there. So I think violence is not a bad way to look, but I'm going to pass here. Even like Ankalaev by KO, minus 105, not good enough for me. Ankalaev inside the distance, minus 110, not good enough for me. I could very well see a potential decision as well. So yeah, this is a pass, but I will pick Ankalaev to win. But it could be close. It could be a little bit closer than the line does indicate, but as far as a pick, I'm going to take Ankalaev. But looks like some money is coming in on Ankalaev or Oezdemir as the fight week does go on. He opened up plus 285. He's now plus 240. So I'll take Ankalaev, though, to get it done. Khamzat Chimaev going against the Leech. Chimaev minus 600. The Leech plus 400. What I did was I took that minus 600 and I turned it into a minus 110. The way I did that was I played Khamzat Chimaev to win in rounds 1 or 2. Minus 110. I have 1 unit on that. Earlier in the week, it was plus money, which is just crazy because, for one, if Khamzat Chimaev is going to win, it's going to be early. If he does not win early, I actually have concerns about what he's going to look like later in the fight. But Khamzat Chimaev, I don't believe he's never won in the 3rd round. That's a fact. He's never been to decision. But I don't believe he's ever won a fight that went over the 1.5 round mark. I think he's finishing all these guys early, and although this is going to be the toughest test of his career, I think it's another spot where if he does win, it's probably going to be, a 1st or 2nd round finish. So, and again, if he does get into the 3rd round, like how's his cardio going to look? There are some question marks about Chimaev, the layoff. He was on the verge of retiring a couple months back. Potential weight cut issues as well we saw last night. So we'll see what happens, though. But yeah, Chimaev to win in round 1 or 2. Minus 110, 1 unit. I don't hate that. Also, Chimaev to win inside the distance, which is minus 190. A little bit more juice, but it does get you that 3rd round as well, which is fine. But yeah, I think Chimaev does get it done, and does get it done in very dominant fashion. All right, next we have Alexander Volkov going against Marcin Tybura. This is my big bet, if you will, of the week. I have a 3-unit bet on Alexander Volkov. I got him at minus 275. Wish I would have got him earlier, but the time I looked into it, he was already minus 275. He's now minus 280. So the line has not changed that much, but I think it's a really good spot for Volkov. Volkov is somebody that, his kind of a physique, if you will, changed a little bit after the Blades fight. He put on some weight. He's now weighing in close to that 265-pound mark. He's going to be the bigger fighter in this fight, the heavier fighter. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, a 3-inch reach advantage as well. And his striking is very good. He's going to have a massive striking advantage in this fight. I don't think Tybura has the best striking. I don't think Tybura has the best chin. For Tybura to have success, he's going to need to get takedowns and get a lot of them. Even if he does take down Volkov, he's going to have to hold him down, and that is extremely hard to do. This is not Greg Hardy, who's going to gas out after a round. This is not Walt Harris, who's going to gas out after 2.5 minutes. This is Volkov, who can go a smooth 5 rounds, no problem. So yeah, I think it's a really tough matchup for Tybura. I don't see Tybura finishing Volkov. I really struggle to find a path to victory for Tybura. It had to be like multiple takedowns, and it's just so hard to see him doing that. Curtis Blades was able to do that, but that's Curtis Blades, who Tybura is definitely not. So yeah, give me Volkov here. Will be my biggest play of the night. 3 units, minus 275. Islam Makhachev going against Dan Hooker. And yeah, I mean, not much we can do here. I mean, Makhachev minus 700, Dan Hooker plus 450. I think Makhachev wins. The line is probably off, but we all know that Makhachev probably does get it done here. The question is, does he finish Dan Hooker or does he win by decision? I guess I'm kind of leaning the decision, which is plus 100, but I could see him finishing as well. This is an easy pass for me. If you wanted to parlay Makhachev, there'd be no complaints for me. A little bit steep though, but I do think he does get it done. Give me Makhachev to get the win. Just no bet for me though. Petr Yan going against Corey Sandhagen. I was going to keep waiting it out. If I could have got Petr Yan at a little bit better of a price tag, I probably would have pulled the trigger, but it looks like he's staying around this minus 210, minus 220, minus 230 area. And yeah, probably a little wide. I do think it's going to be very competitive, but I think the big key in this fight is going to be the wrestling. Corey Sandhagen's takedown defense is not great at all. I think Petr Yan's going to be able to mix in the takedowns. I think the striking is going to be very close and competitive, but I do think the takedowns are what's going to steal some of these rounds here. But yeah, it should be a close-ish fight, but I do lean towards the Petr Yan side, and I do lean towards Petr Yan by decision plus 165. Not terrible, but no official play for me on this one. I think the fight goes to decision, and the Yan Sandhagen fight's not terrible as well. But yeah, again, no play for me. Jan Blachowicz going against Glover Teixeira. Yeah, kind of missed out on the Blachowicz KO prop. It was like plus 155 on FanDuel earlier in the week. It's now plus 105. And yeah, I think that's probably the move. If you're on the Blachowicz side, I'd probably take that KO prop or even like the inside the distance minus 110. Teixeira, I saw Glover Teixeira by decision as like plus 1,000 on FanDuel. That's interesting. But yeah, I think Blachowicz does knock him out at some point in this fight. Teixeira, his chin's not great. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been hurt in the majority of his fights, especially as of late. And Blachowicz does have that legendary Polish power. I think Blachowicz does get it done here. Do I like the line? Minus 275. I do not like that line. It's going to be a pass for me. I know it sucks passing on the main event, but really nothing sticks out. If I was forced to play something, though, it would be the Blachowicz knockout prop plus money. I think that's the way to go. If you are on the Teixeira side, I'd probably just take the money line there, which is plus 235. Teixeira inside the distance plus 325, and like I mentioned, Teixeira by decision on FanDuel plus 1,000 if you want to get a little bit crazy. But yep, that's about it for me. I'll quickly go over my bets. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If I do add anything ever, I'll be posting my final bets on there. But yeah, 3-unit straight bet, Alexander Volkov, my biggest play of the night. Minus 275 for Volkov there. My second biggest play of the night is going to be Roman Kopylov going against Albert Duraev. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 200. 2 units on that. My third biggest play of the night, Hugh Yazong going against Andre Petrosky, under 2.5 rounds, minus 150, 1.5 units. Those are my 3 biggest plays. Hopefully hit all 3 of those. Half a unit shot on Yazong Hu, plus 194. 1.25 unit bet on Dos Santos Benoit, under 2.5 rounds. Fight doesn't go to decision, and Olazechuk Shamil Gamzatov, half a unit plus 145. Janet Roba wins by submission, 1,200 plus 1,200, quarter unit on that. And then Shamaev wins in round 1 or 2, minus 110, 1 unit. Thank you all so much for watching. Let's make some money for UFC 267, and then we have 268 next week. We'll be back. Already about halfway done with that card, looking to make a very big bet. Maybe my 3rd or 4th, I believe, max bet of the year next week, as we have a spot that's really sticking out. 2 spots that are really sticking out that are in contention for that, actually. So can't wait for 268. Going to be starting to pull the trigger on some of those bets probably early, either Saturday or Sunday. So, yep, that's about it, guys. Good luck. A lot of great fights coming up. 267, 268. Looking forward to it. Let's have some fun and let's make some money. Good luck for UFC 267. See you guys.